Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste, assalamu alaikum. Good evening, good night, or good morning to all of you. We are so pleased to have people at this meeting from all parts of the world in different time zones. I am Shakira Mohammed of Trinidad and Tobago, a teacher for the past 17 years. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the 284th edition of our ICC Thought Leaders Forum. We wish to sincerely thank all of you who have contributed in whatever way to the success of this Pan-Indo-Caribbean and Pan-Indian Diaspora Global GIRMITIYA project. For 283 unbroken continuous weeks, we have been here every single Sunday. And in the past 5 years and 6 months, we have featured 1,140 presenters from all parts of the world speaking on 283 topics. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a weekly forum being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center, a legally registered research and publishing company operating since 2010. And in order to continue this weekly program and to make it bigger and better, we are kindly asking for suggestions and volunteers. If you give a donation, your name will be placed on our poster and all promotional materials, and you can contact Dr. Kumar Mahabir for details. We just received information a little while ago, and we wish to congratulate India, who just won the ICC Women's World Cup against South Africa, led by Captain Harman. So this is the first time they have won. So congratulations again. I'll introduce our moderator today, who is Shalama Mohammed, the co-director of this ICC Zoom platform, who is a business teacher and researcher from Trinidad and Tobago. She obtained her master's degree in business psychology from Franklin University in the USA. Shalama, welcome.
Thanks so much, Shakir. Assalamu alaikum, namaste, and a warm welcome to all of you. Thanks so much for choosing to be here with us. This program is being recorded on Zoom and live streamed at the YouTube channel of the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center. Welcome to all of you on YouTube at this time. To avoid intrusions from trolls, our IT manager has muted everyone. Speakers, please do not admit anyone, do not unmute anyone, and don't allow anyone to share your screen. Thanks so much for your cooperation. Today, we are talking about GIRMITIYALOGY, an emerging new academic discipline on Indian indentureship and its legacies. 191 years ago today, on November 2nd, 1834, Indian laborers from the Dangars caste were brought to Mauritius on the ship named Atlas. This event marked the beginning of a significant migration period under the indentureship scheme. The laborers were Girmitiyas, so called because they were made to sign girmits or contracts in order to go to British colonies. This formal system of contract work by the British followed the French initiative, who first took Girmitiyas to Reunion Island in 1828. The Dutch Empire followed Britain and took their first batch of Girmitiyas to Suriname in 1873. To date, the history of the Girmitiyas and their legacy is hardly known in the villages which they left, and their place has not been cemented in world history. Our very existence, domiciled in the lands where we are placed, is proof that they existed. The academic discipline of GIRMITIYALOGY is our attempt to bridge the knowledge gap with a plenitude of facts about the lives and experiences of the nearly 2 million souls and their descendants who can be found around the world. And we have speakers today who will explain why this is important and what GIRMITIYALOGY, the academic discipline, is all about. The conceptualizer, Dr. Shadnan Hernandan Singh, who lives in the Netherlands, but who was born in Suriname, will speak after our first three speakers. And let me introduce you to our first speaker today. This is Professor Chan Chuni of the Netherlands, originally from Suriname as well. He has been conducting research on archival records of emigration agencies in Calcutta related to Indian indentured laborers, who are the Girmitiyas, who left India between 1834 and 1917. Welcome, Professor Chuni. Are you able to unmute?
Unmute, sir.
Okay. Yeah? Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you now.
Okay. Dear colleagues, when we're talking about Girmitiyas and the number, then first we must take into account that, let's say, 1.6 million, maybe 2 million Girmitiyas, people who had an agreement, left India. And nowadays, it is very difficult to calculate, but maybe there are 4 million in the colonies and also 1 till 2 million in the other countries like the US, Canada, Netherlands, Australia, and so further. So it is quite a large community. And what we see nowadays that there is very much interest to track back the lineages and to consult the archives. And I've tried to do this kind of research. And I went to Calcutta. I must say something about Calcutta. As you know, in Calcutta, can I have the next slide? The different colonies had depots there and also immigration agencies. Hence, France has a depot there and an immigration agency. The colonial, British colonial have also immigration agencies, and Suriname has also an immigration agency. And these agencies were mostly based on the depots, and they were on the side of the in the Garden Reach area. Garden Reach, they use this word Garden Reach because opposite of the Hoogly River you have the garden, the botanical garden. So the ships, when they went to the botanical garden, that's why they call it Garden Reach. But Garden Reach is a huge harbor area. And there you had also, let's say, on the shores, you had what they call the ghats, where the ships went to the colonies. These agencies did the recruitment of the Girmitiyas. And what is very important also, that when the Girmitiyas returned back to India, to Kolkata, they were also received in the depots and stayed some days there. They were housed there, and then they had some administrative procedures, and then they can collect their money in the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank. It was deposited in the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank, and then they can go to their town or their villages. So there are two kinds of very important administrations in the agency's files and in the archives of the agencies. On the one side, the people who went to the colonies, and on the second side, the people who returned back, also their details were also in the archives. We must take also in account that in those days there was no telephone, only telegram. So the communication was through letters and through telegram. Okay. When indentured labor was abolished in 1917 and legally in 1920, after that, all the agencies and the depot was liquidated. But now the question is, what happened to all the administration, the archives of the agencies? And that is unclear now. And why it is important to go through the archives? Because a lot of people try to do lineage search, and only a small proportion, maybe 1 or 2 or maybe 5%, succeed in finding their roots. And in the agencies of Calcutta, there were several important documents. One important document was the agreement, the Girmit agreement, the signed agreement with the term. And I have a beautiful example of that. One Surinamese Girmitiya lady went to Suriname in 1894, and she complained to the governor that she never signed the contract. And the government gave her a free passage back to Calcutta, but the Suriname agency went to the files and they found her Girmit paper with her thumb, with the thumbnail, with the thumb signing. Hence, that means that of all the people who left Calcutta, they kept the records, the Gilmit papers there, and perhaps they sent also a copy with the captain of the ships or the surgeon major to the colonies, and then they had that or they signed it again. But what is important that the agreements were there in the Suriname agency and the agencies of all the colonies. A second point is that everybody received the immigration pass. Even a lot of historians didn't knew that. Also in Suriname, some people wrote a lot of books, but they didn't knew that all the people had immigration passes. I saw immigration passes in the archives of Fiji, and also in the other colonies, they have the immigration passes, and also in Suriname. But in Suriname, 1/4 of the passes have lost. So to get all the information about the 34,000 Hindustanis in Suriname, as we call them in Suriname, we don't use the word Indian, but Hindustani. We have to go to the Suriname agency to collect the 1/4 of the passes. I went 20 years ago. I started this journey to recollect all the dossiers or the archives, in my case, of the Suriname agency. Now, there are several options to find these archives. One, maybe the archives are in the Netherlands, that they brought after the liquidation, and the date of the liquidation of the archives is also not exactly known. I know for Suriname, the Suriname agency, and it goes, I think, also for the British colonial agency in France, it was somewhere in 1924, because in 1923 still people were returning, and they had the administration there of the returnees. So in 1924. So 20 years ago, I had a contact with the director of the National Archives here in the Netherlands, and they tried to look for it in the Netherlands, didn't find it. Then I went to Suriname, we didn't find it there, and because the Netherlands was an imperial power, they had also administration in Indonesia. Also in Indonesia, we didn't find it. So then I went to the British Library and to the National Archives in Kew, and I collected almost 500 documents about Suriname, but nothing about these archives. Then there are three options. One option is that the archives are perhaps in the archives of West Bengal, because Calcutta belonged to Bengal, the former presidency of Bengal, and after the splitting up with Pakistan and India, I think that they have deposited all the archives in the West Bengal archives. The lady Leela Sarup, a lot of people know her. She has been to the West Bengal archives, and she saw a lot of files, and she has digitalized everything and made 19 encyclopedias. She went also. I met her at my place here in the Netherlands, and I went through all these encyclopedias, and the archives are not there. Another option is that the archives are in the National Archives of New Delhi. This 1 month ago or some weeks ago, we went with Sardanand Harinandan Singh to the National Archives of New Delhi. The Director General even didn't know about the whole indentured labor history. So they couldn't help us. Now the question is, are the archives somewhere in India, or are they destroyed after the liquidation of the immigration agencies? Another point is very important, is also that they had sub-depots, as they call it, in the various cities. And for example, in Patna, in the neighborhood of Bankipur, and there is a famous report of Mr. Grierson about the whole recruitation recruitment of Girmitias in Bihar. Mr. Grecian mentions this sub-depot, and they had also the administration there, and he mentioned names like Mr. Chandlal, and there was also a Mr. Chunni. He was a head recruiter. There has been a legal case that he had deceived some people, but he had won the case. So there were in the various cities like Kanpur, Allahabad, Gorakhpur, all these places, there were sub-depots with administrations. So what happened? Where were the sub-depots, and what happened to the administrations of these sub-depots? So we have to look for these archives, and what I find very interesting is that also the chartering, they had the charter with the coolie ships, as they call it. And as I mentioned also to Miss Archana, it is a mistake that people think that there were coolie ships, and some ships took coolies with the ship. No, the ships were specially built by companies, shipping companies in England and Ireland. They called them coolie ships, and these coolie ships were chartered by the agencies. And then they had a lot of, when the ships came, they had inspection. And the inspection reports were also in the agencies, and also the names and of the passengers, and also other details. So there are also in the administration not only the the agreements and the immigration passes and other things, but also the names and the muster rolls, as they call it, the names of the passengers of the various ships. You had, for example, one famous company was the Noors Line, and the Noors Line became very important, and it was later the P&O line, the very big important P&O line nowadays. It was in the old days Noors Line, and they built it this coolie ships. So there is a lot of information was collected by the immigration agencies. And the question is now, where are these dossiers, these files of the immigration agencies? And there is also very little written about the immigration agencies. We have to do a lot of research to see how it was in the immigration agencies, what was the life in the depots. There is a report of a Dutchman, Wiersma, in 1908, I think. He explains certain things about the depots, how long it took, and how they were recruited, and all these things. But still, we have to do research about what happened to the depot. Where are the records and the archives of the depots in India? I think I have how much time left? How many, Salima, how much time I've left?
2 minutes. 2 minutes, Professor Chunni.
2 minutes. So I'm trying now in the Netherlands to do a second in-depth research, because I think, for example, from the Netherlands, that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I have the name of the last immigration agent in Calcutta of 1924, Mr. Hommers, and I will try to collect, because he has some correspondence with the Dutch government, because he was also the consul of the Dutch government. So I will try to find the correspondence, the letters he wrote to the Dutch government, and in there he had mentioned, I hope, about the liquidation of the Suriname agency, and also the liquidation of the Suriname depot, and what happened then with all the archives, the whole administration. So I hope to get more answers soon. So that was my presentation, Salima.
Excellent. Always informative, Professor Chuni. Thank you very much. Navin, just hold it. Hold it on the final slide for just a second, please. Everything that you've identified here indicates to us why there needs to be further research into this. You can't be doing all of this yourself. We have to have some people take the information that you already have, utilize it, but also do further research. Incidentally, let me give way to Baba. Baba, go ahead, please. Unmute your mic. Baba, can you unmute your mic, please?
Yes, thank you very much. Grimitology has four priorities for the coming 2 years. And the first priority is this, what Professor Chanshuni is telling about. And as you know, if they have destroyed a part of the history of the Girmitias, that is not good. I think that has to bring and have a research what we can do about this to find that. Compliment, and compliment, Dr. Chanchuniji.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for raising
Thank you.
that. Ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead. If you have questions or comments, kindly put those into the Zoom chat. And for those of you on YouTube, please place that on the chat on YouTube. We will take your questions and your comments after all the speakers. Thank you very much, Professor Chuni.
Thank you. Thank you.
We now move on to our second speaker, who is Dr. Archana Tiwari of India. She's a former head and professor of the Department of Western History at the University of Lucknow. She specializes in the old Indian diaspora and is a regular participant in international Indian diaspora conferences. Welcome, Dr. Tiwari.
It's a very important day, and we today we are celebrating the arrival of Indians in Mauritius, and another that the women's team, the cricket team, has won they have lifted the World Cup. So I'm very thankful to the organizers for having given me this opportunity to express my views on this new area, that is Girmitology. I like the permission of the chair to share my PPT.
Please, yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good. Please place it into slideshow.
Just a moment.
Sure.
No, something went wrong. Ashita, just come in.
You have to go to the beginning.
Yeah. How to go to the beginning? I just ended because it was somewhere midway. Right.
Right.
Done.
Slideshow
Okay,
again.
so
Right.
myself Archana Tiwari, and I am teaching here in Lucknow University since 1996. I began my career as a part-time lecturer, and Lucknow, it's a beautiful city. It's the capital of Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, these were the two states of North India from where, and initially Uttar Pradesh was known as United Provinces of Awadh and Agra. So it was from the United Provinces and from Bihar that we had the maximum the Girmitiyas moving to various colonies where they were taken for the cultivation of sugarcane. So I belong to this area, and but unfortunately, yes, the ignorance about Girmitiyas is abysmal, and it is now under the initiative of so many universities that students, they are becoming aware that during the British period, it is not only exploitation and the drain of wealth and all those aspects they need to understand. They need to understand that so many Indians were taken almost forcibly against their will through fraudulent means to the various colonies. And that is why they study this subject, Girmitiyology. This is justified. So, who were the Girmits? We know many a times Professor Brijvilal, he is credited that he used the word Girmit for the first time. However, if you go through the book by Mahatma Gandhi, My Experiments with Truth, then on the page 100, you will find this word Girmitiya. So I feel that Mahatma Gandhi was the first person who used this word, and there he has explained the word Girmitiya, that these people, they were taken from India for on a 5-year contract, and there he has, since in South Africa, the people were, South India were also taken, so he has mentioned that Madrasis, the people from Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, he has mentioned those places. Now, why Girmitiyology? Because these migrants, India has witnessed migration in a number of waves. We have witnessed migration post Second World War. We have witnessed migration in 1990s. Then a large number of migrants have moved to countries of Middle East, the GCC, Australia, Canada. So, but these Girmits, they were different because they went during the time of British. They were basically ignorant Indians who were on the verge of poverty, and many of them, most of them, they were fraudulently enlisted in the system. Why fraudulently? Because the time when they had moved to these colonies, the myth of crossing the seas, that was very much in vogue, and it was believed equally in all the sections of the society, whether they were Hindus or Muslims. So at that time, it was very difficult to enlist Indians, to make them agree that you have to move to colonies and you have to take a journey by sea. So that is why I strongly feel that most of them were fraudulently enlisted in the system. And once they reached Calcutta, they had very little agency to express their views, to say yes or no. And so they were it was definitely a involuntary migration in I mean, I can say that in 99% of cases. This is going to be an interdisciplinary study, and the aim is to involve teaching faculty and researchers from various subjects: history, political science, economics, psychology, computers, business administration, literature of various languages: English, Hindi, Bhojpuri, Awadhi, Tamil, Telugu, Punjabi. I've been very lucky that in Lucknow University for the past so many years, a number of conferences have been held, especially by the Department of English and Modern Indian Languages. And we also held a workshop in May this year, which emphasized upon digitalization of the archives and the various sources, which are the source of information about the Girmits. And till now, the colonial archives were the main source of information. However, Girmitiyology seeks to cleanse and enrich the system of collecting information on the Girmits. The colonial archives, the reports of various inquiries, will be used with caution after screening them and cross-checking them with other sources. Our main aim is to create a reliable and trustworthy alternative archive based on the first-hand accounts of the indentured Indians. Now, till date, the first-hand accounts are of Totaram Sanade, who went to Fiji, Munshi Rahman Khan, who went to Suriname, and Bechu, who went to British Guiana. The Still Cry by Kumar Mahabir, it focuses on the accounts of Bharat, Fazal, Maharani, Mulyan, and Sankar. And there are also accounts by second generation, like Bhavani Dayal Sannyasi. He was born to indentured parents in South Africa. Researchers will help in finding various sources. For example, Radha Kamal Mukherjee, way back in 1938, he wrote this book, Migrant Asia, and I had made a special effort to get this book traced. Radha Kamal Mukherjee was vice chancellor of my university during the British period, and he was the father of sociology in India. And he had written this book, Migrant Asia, which contains the accounts of migration, including indentured Indians in that time. And so our aim is not just to study the accounts of the Girmits, but to find out alternative sources which have not been used so far. For example, we will be using oral testimony, reports, and contemporary newspapers. This is very important. For example, here I have given the account that the first visit of Andrews and his colleague W. Pearson was in 1915-16. Facing bitter criticism against the indentured system, the government of India sent Andrews and Pearson to investigate the abuses of the indentured system on the colonial refining company plantations. They traveled extensively, interviewing indentured laborers, overseers, and government officials. They also interviewed returned indentured Indians. Their findings were embodied in Report of Indentured Labor in Fiji, and they exposed the extreme degradation and immorality of the system, including a high rate of suicides and violence against women. And they visited again, Andrews visited again. He in 1917, he noted some improvements since his first visit. However, he was appalled by the condition of indentured Indians and moral degradation on the plantations. Andrews emphasized on an immediate end to the indentured system. Andrews, along with other voices of opposition, led to the formal abolition of Indian indentured labor system in 1920. He made a third visit to Fiji in 1936 while he was on his tour to Australia and New Zealand. He observed many improvements. He told Indians that Fiji belongs to the Fijians and that the Indians were just guests. This observation brings home the fact that the problems that the Indians faced at the end of the 20th century, the discrimination, hate, and finally expulsion, had its roots in the time when Indians were indentured. So the sources of Andrew's visit, like JIPE, the Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics, they have the version of official reports written by Andrews and Pearson as Report on Indentured Labor in Fiji 1916 and Fiji Indentured Labor, a supplementary by C.F. Andrews. Andrews' correspondence and papers are preserved in Shanti Niketan in India, because this is the place where he was staying. So proceedings of the discussions in the various institutions where indentured labor was discussed. This is, I'm talking about tapping new sources. For example, while I was I was writing my thesis about Indian indentured labor in Trinidad, I came across this account by Mr. Chintamani that he had raised a question in the United Provinces Legislative Council that the immigration agent in Banaras described himself as government's agent, because if we are talking about those times in India, say 1910, 1915, 16, the people, they were very innocent and they were ignorant. So if a person was to say that I'm a government agent and you have been ordered by the government to go to a certain colony, he would find it very difficult to refuse. And here, Mr. Chintamani, he was pointing to this question. So we need to look into these sources as well. So here, Mr. Chintamani, he asked that if government is aware that the immigration agent at Banaras describes himself as government immigration agent, and that the designation creates the impression that he is an officer of this government or the government of India. And so he said that will government be pleased to suggest a change in his designation, which will show that he is a member of the colonial service. Now, I'm talking about other sources, the proceedings of various sessions of Indian National Congress, the issue like the ill treatment of indentured Indians or free Indians in the colonies, their problems, etc. These were discussed. The conditions of indentured Indians was reported in the contemporary newspapers in vernacular languages. We need to get them translated from reliable academicians and use them. For example, Bengal Harkaru. This was the newspaper which was published in Bengal, and it was in Bangla language. So we need to look into these newspapers. There is a story by Munshi Premchand. He was a great writer during the British period, and the title is Shudra. This is the first story which deals with indentured labor. Munshi Premchand, he wrote it by maybe what he heard about indentured labor, because he never moved out of India. So as we had Uncle Tom's Cabin written by Harriet Beecher Stowe, who never saw slavery, and whatever abolitionist literature she had, she used that to write that the entire novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin. Similar was the case here. Chand, the most influential journal of the early 20th century, dedicated an entire issue, that is January 1926, to migration. Poems like Kisan by Mathli Sharan Gupt. And we will also while we are studying Girmitiyology, we will look into the digitalization of archival sources and other sources. Why? Because they are in a very poor state, in a very dilapidated state. So we need to restore them. There is a unanimous opinion among the researchers and academicians that the records, archival or non-archival, pertaining to the indentured labor are very old, and so to preserve them is the urgent need of the hour. The best way to preserve them is to digitize them through a concerted effort of the various archives and other institutions. Here, monuments can also play a very important role. Indians disembarked at the Apravasi Ghat at Port Louis, Mauritius, which was accorded UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2006. This embarkation ports in other countries should be accorded status, or at least a proper care should be taken, so that the researchers could see for themselves where the indentured labor were lodged once they reached their destination after an arduous journey, leaving their motherland and family behind. So here we have a pic of the Apravasi Ghat, Mauritius, and Whitby and Hesperus, these were the first ships which reached Guyana. And so we have the bronze sculpture which rests on black granite pedestal, represents the Whitby ship that transported the first batch of Indian indentured immigrants to Guyana on May 5, 1838. It was designed in India with the assistance of Guyanese architect Mr. Albert, and I can't see the surname here, and transported to Guyana in 1996. Mr. Yeshu Prasad unveiled the monument on May 5, 1997. So this is it. And when Prime Minister
That was Albert Rodrigues.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Albert Rodrigues. And this is the pic of Prime Minister Modi when he visited Guyana this year, and he is paying his homage. And we have the monument of Baba and Mai, Paramaribo, Suriname. We have Nelson Island. I mean, while I was doing my thesis. So for the first time, I came across this word isolation, that the first Indians were taken and they were isolated for some time, because just to check if they had not contracted any infectious disease. So they were lodged here. What is the relevance of the study? There is great ignorance about the Girmit system in India. I mean, this is very unfortunate, but this is the fact. The passage of the Citizenship Act 1955, it gave the status of person of Indian origin to the people who had migrated under the various schemes, indentured, Kangani, Maestri, or of their own free will to these various countries, and they were not accorded the status of citizen. So in that way they were severed from India. They were expecting the status of citizen. So this would be, say, a homage to them as well, because they were expecting something from their mother country. And of course, it will be a homage to the trauma suffered by the Indians who migrated under the system. There are various waves of Indian migration, and each of them, sorry, is the product of the variety of India. So the introduction of Girmitiyology will do justice to the ancestors of the PIOs in the countries which received the indentured Indians. Our aim is to declare Girmitiya system was a crime. It was a system of state-sponsored human trafficking system. We will challenge the colonial narrative of benevolence, because many British accounts, they say that Indians, they had the opportunity to migrate because they were suffering so much poverty in India. And I recall very well, in one of the workshops, Sir Ram Dahin, he presented a paper where he said that Indians, they were not moving to some heaven or to a very uh, uh, to a better place. They were exchanging one kind of poverty to another kind of poverty, one kind of exploitation to another kind of exploitation. So Girmitiyology is going to expose this, that the system was an ugly face of colonial exploitation, where men and women were subservient to the plantation products. The products were more important. The men and women who were working to produce that, they were not given that importance. One of the aim is also to trace the roots. People of Indian origin who are living in these countries are aware of their Indian roots, and they want to connect to India, see the villages of their ancestors, and unite with their families. Girmitiyology will help them to uh, trace their lineage to India, to see their villages in India. Then we also aim to create a database, the passenger search database at the Ellis Island National Museum. Immigration stores 65 million passenger records and ship manifests between I think it is 1857 or 58 to 1957, that arrived at the port of New York. Many individuals and agencies are making similar effort to create similar database of indentured Indians, like Krishna Gubli has prepared a database of indentured Indians in South Africa. Roots and Root, our project, is also making similar effort. Professor Moritz Hassan Khan from Suriname, he is also heading one of these projects. Through Girmitiyology, sir, projects will receive an impetus, and through hand-holding, cooperation, and sharing knowledge, a Girmitiya database will be a reality one day. Girmitiyology will also highlight the survival strategy of the Girmitiyas, because that was the real reason why Indian culture, it flowered abroad. one of the causes why we have diaspora, because the earlier waves and the subsequent waves of the migrants, they were determined that they will not merge with the natives, and they will maintain their Indian roots. They will maintain their relations, whatever relations they could, and they will not merge with the local population. So the Girmitiyalogy will also highlight the survival strategy of the Indians. Here I have taken a quotation of Jawaharlal Nehru, that you can take the Indian out of India, but you can't take India out of an Indian. And of course, we have a quotation from Rabindranath Tagore, the great poet, the poet who gave India her national anthem and who was a great exponent of internationalism. He said, to study a banyan tree, you not only must know its main stem in its own soil, but you must trace the growth of its greatness in the further soil. For then you can know the true nature of its ma'am, can you help me with this? And civilization of India, like the banyan tree, has shed its beneficent shade away from its birthplace. India can live and grow by spreading abroad, not the political India, but the ideal India. And this quotation I have taken from Hugh Tinker, The Banyan Tree, Overseas Immigrants from India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tiwari. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have noticed that Dr. Tiwari went over 15 minutes. However, I think what she shared is vital, and it further contextualizes, in addition to what Professor Chuni would have shared already. It contextualizes the need for this particular academic discipline. And I think from her presentation, it justifies why she will be heading the Brain Gain College, or the faculty of Girmitiyology. So thank you very much, Dr. Tiwari. Again,
Thank you. Thank you.
I invite you, members of the audience, to please place your questions in the chat, and we will get to that after all the presenters. Let me now introduce you to our third speaker, and this is Dennis Ramdahan of the USA. He's originally from right here in Trinidad. He's the co-founder of the Global Gurmit Association. He develops statistical analyses and correlations of migration of indentured laborers and British colonial policies that created poverty and famine in India. Welcome, Dennis.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you, everyone, and very appreciative for being on this panel, and distinguished guests. Thank you for participating. Now, what I would like to do is share the screen, if possible. Screen share.
Yes, you should be able to do so. We're
Okay,
seeing
great.
it coming up.
Okay, can you see that? Now, I did hear some mentions of things that brought back recollections, right? Dr. Leela Sarup.
Dennis, before you continue, would you mind putting it into slideshow?
Sure.
Thank you.
Dr. Leela Sarup is a name I'm familiar with because back in 2010, I used to actually work with her at her office when she was conducting all this global indentureship research. And I also heard about the mention of the digitalization of the indentureship records, right? Dr. Leela Sarup used to complain that the records in the Calcutta archives were deteriorating, and there was an urgent need for funders to come forward and help preserve this precious record. It has been 15 years, and I don't think much funders have come forward, and I think those records are still at risk. So I'm calling on the global Girmit community, the business people of the world, to pay attention to these things, right? And as our previous speaker said, it's very important that the historical records and artifacts are preserved, for the future and for the benefit of the Indian community. So GIRMITYALOGY is basically a deep study of the global epic of Indian indentureship, and it takes many different dimensions and forms. The aspect which I am working on happens to be one dimension, and there are people contributing to the vast dimensions and subject areas that all come together to create this whole new area of study called GIRMITYALOGY, right? So I'm more focused on understanding the dynamics of poverty, because I work in India and I'm doing a project, an economic restoration project in India, and I'm trying to understand, why do we have so much poverty in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh? Why are these two states called the most backward states in India? And there's a reason for that, because because of the labor and wealth extraction. And my job is to build new world-changing systems to bring that area out of poverty. But there's an historic element to it. When we look backwards, what was happening in this region? What were the British policies that were contributing to hardship and poverty and resource exploitation? And we find that, looking back, we saw the British was a big drug lord and running a massive opium operation in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. Massive. It was the third highest revenue generator for the British Empire after salt and land trade, right? So at the time of the India independence, we have a situation where these two states are significantly damaged, left in disrepair, and often abandoned. Okay, so I'll just quickly go through these slides. People like to talk about the digitalization. Mainly, their main focus is to bridge that information gap so that we can identify ancestral villages, right? But it goes beyond that. There are secondary reasons for the digitalization project. It's basically to unfold hidden data measurements previously not revealed. And these data measurements are basically statistical measures yet to be completed. We have to complete a massive piece of study by taking all the data points from each GIRMIT certificate and statistically analyzing it to see how people move and the rates of movements and all these things. And there's also a tertiary reason, because once we have these data collection measures, then we can make the stronger case for legal possibilities for reparation and other needs. So it's about doing this thing in a research sense. And I'm not a historian. By all means, I'm not a historian. I'm an engineer, and I am a project developer, and I think I'm a new age economist. But we have to I've put together some hypotheses that basically is going to create a new research area, never been done before, to actually capture all the data from the global digitalization of these immigration passes, and really create some data that has never been presented in the world. So I've listed here some research objectives, and here is one. It is hypothesized that there is a correlation between the British opium and taxation policies and the peasantry manipulation events of the vast opium cultivation regions. And the resultant poverty and destitution, labor bondage, is speculated to determine the place of recruitment of these GIRMITIYA indentures. What I mean by this is if we were to map where these indentures came from, their villages, their coordinates, their geographic coordinates, we can basically see a correlation with the issuance of opium cultivation permits. And that's where I want to make the fact that indentures didn't just say, hey, I want to migrate because, there's a land of milk and honey. They were trapped in poverty, they were trapped in bondage, and they basically were basically moved into that migration channel, right, of indentureship. So you look at the opium map and you see Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. Bihar and Uttar Pradesh were basically the place where this massive opium cultivation took place. So I want to stop there. I want to stop there because I want to transition to another piece of work that I'm involved in, and it's through my research colleague Ram Suresh Rampasad. Ram Suresh Rampasad and myself, we started collaborating on this Girmit subject matter back in the days with Leela Sarup. And Leela Sarup at times consulted Ram Suresh. And Ram Suresh has been working on this project for the last 20 years. And I think he's in the audience right now. Let me just double check here. Is Mr. Kumar, Dr. Kumar, can you check and see if Mr. Ram Suresh Rampasad is in the audience? And maybe you can give him the privilege to come online and say a few words about this
Sure.
very novel research document that he is about to publish for the global Girmit community. Ram Suresh,
Yes. Yes, he's here.
can you come online? The book he's published here is called Beyond the Blue Seas, and it's the history of Indian indentureship. And what he has done is something very unique. He, unlike other historians, he has actually gone into the archives and collected real documentation from the court proceedings, on the global subject of indentureship, and he has compiled it into a book that is hundreds of pages. That I Ram, are you there? Hello? Hundreds of pages, right? So I'll just go through the a quick overview of the table of contents here. He starts with chapter 1, the crucible of Indian indentureship. Chapter 2, revolt, abolition, and the birth of Indian indenture. Chapter 3, from Clive Street to Mauritius, the first contract. Chapter 4, the Pinsep-McFarlane correspondence. And here you see Bengal government seeks assurance on return of Dangar laborers bound for Mauritius. That was 15th of September, 1834. Now, chapter 5, Sir John Gladstone and the turn to indentureship. Chapter 6, Lord Glenegg's intervention. Chapter 7, Yolanda's, Arbuthnot and Company, the machinery of recruitment. Looks like these are recruiters here. Chapter 8, from trade to rule, the East India Company. Chapter 9, Lord Auckland's Inquiry and Early Reports. Chapter 10, T.C. Scott Report on Labor Conditions. Now, as I said, each one of these chapters have hundreds of extreme documentation of real historic details as to what was taking place in this whole machinery of indentureship, right? Chapter 11, The French Connection. Chapter 12, John Moss, Henry Moss, and the Demerara Plan. Chapter 13, Blueprint of a Global Labor System. And we can go on and on and on, but let me go down to where he says a little bit about the book here. This book traces how freedom was repackaged after emancipation, how contracts, ordinances, and polite correspondence replaced chains, yet preserved the plantation grip. Beginning with the Mauritian experiment of 1834 and following the commercial arteries that ran from Clive Street in Calcutta to Port Louis and Demerara, the narrative shows indenture not as a footnote to slavery, but its careful successor. It follows the merchants and magistrates, Gladstone, Arbuthnot, Prinsep, Glenelg, whose decision turned people into quantities on ledgers and clauses on forms. And it listens, wherever the records allow, for the lives moving beneath those forms. The significance of this work lies in the insistence that indentureship was a global system engineered to stabilize imperial profits while claiming the language of choice. By setting British and French practices aside, side by side, and reading economic motives against legal forms, the book argues that the indenture regime shaped the modern Indian diaspora as surely as slavery shaped the Black Atlantic through rupture, reinvention, and the long labor of making home in places first designed for extraction. So let me stop there because I just gave the introduction to this book. It's a phenomenal book, and it's going to, I guess, change the way we teach history on indentureship. That indentureship was this free will activity that people just saw the opportunity to migrate for a better life. They left India and they came to the colonies, and everything was happily ever after. So I would like to conclude there, and thank you again for giving me the opportunity to present.
All right, Dennis, thank you very much for bringing this resource to our attention and for doing all the good work that you're doing there in India as well. We look forward to chatting with you a little bit later. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome now our fourth and final speaker, and this is the originator of the concept GIRMITIYALOGY and the originator of the academic discipline. This is Professor Shadanand Harinandan Singh of the Netherlands, again, originally from Suriname. Graduating as a professor of GIRMITIYALOGY and Migration Studies at the European Institute of Management and Technology, Zurich, he introduced GIRMITIYALOGY as a field of study at Lucknow University in India. And he will go ahead to tell you more. Welcome, Baba.
Thank you.
Let me bring up your slides.
Can you start with my slides?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, is it visible to you?
Yes. As you see here, dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome is, I can tell, thank you. Thank you, ICC, Dr. Kumar Mahabir, Salima Muhammad, and Shakira, for your cooperation to have a second occasion to present GIRMITIYALOGY on this globally online platform. Next one. As you see, we are busy to develop GIRMITIYALOGY, and this is the logo of the GIRMITIYALOGY, and Chandan Kumar Singh has made this, and later we will have a talk with him. Next one. Well, what is GIRMITIYALOGY? I think the former speakers, all of them have mentioned the GIRMITIYALOGY. It is a paradigm that refers to a new interdisciplinary study on the past, present, and the future of the descendants of the indentured laborers. Various academic disciplines can be involved, such as history, English, sociology, psychology, social psychiatry, and anthropology, pedagogy. Okay, please, ma'am, Salima, could you read this for me?
Certainly. So the ontology of GIRMITIYALOGY is rooted in concepts of ancestral connection, cultural memory, and restorative justice, defining how displaced communities reclaim their identity through knowledge and digital archiving. It was initiated by our speaker from the Netherlands, Professor Dr. Shadanan. He is the founder and general manager of this mondial movement. After an intensive 15-day international masterclass on digitizing GIRMITIYA archives at Lucknow University, the last day on May 30th, 2025, Indian Arrival Day in Trinidad, the paradigm GIRMITIYALOGY was introduced by this visiting professor from the European Institute at Zurich. The official launch took place on 18th September 2025 at Lucknow University, Uttar Pradesh, India, in collaboration with Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Manuka Khanna, and global partners from BHU, GGLAS, and ICC. This event marked the birth of GIRMITIYALOGY as a new interdisciplinary field, transforming colonial chains into bridges of unity and knowledge. The website is girmitiyology.com.
Okay, stop. I want to reflect on this. As you have followed the former colleague speakers, Professor Chanshuni has mentioned the situation and the urgency of study of the archives, because the descendants, many of them, want to connect with the ancestral village. Because of the lack of the information, they cannot be successful. And that is one of the reasons we started with GIRMITIYALOGY. At first, we have started with the Global GIRMITIYA Lineage Archive Center in Madhubani. Chandan Kumar Singh will tell about this more. We have seen that within 6 months, one university, and that is where the term GIRMITIYALOGY had born, has already adopted GIRMITIYALOGY as an interdisciplinary study. And that is thanks to Professor Dr. Manuka Khanna, Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Onkar Upadhyay, and especially our Professor Dr. Archana Tiwari. Archana Tiwari is the head of the section of Brain Gain College, and we will tell about this brain gain more. You see darkness in a ship, and this is, I think, the bonding line to all all Girmitiya communities in the colonized countries. We have the same story, we have the same loss of feelings, we descendants have the same history, so that Girmitiyalogy is an instrument, as Professor Archana already had said. It is an instrument, it is a strategy to bond all the problems, all the challenges what we have in our colonized countries, such as Fiji, Suriname, Guyana, Trinidad, Mauritius. They can come together, and our intention or mission is to bring all the powers, all the knowledge, all the varieties together, and to study this like common and science, who can bring us, we can help us to emancipate from the colonized systems and from the current problems what we have. One person have already said in the chat, I've seen, what is the relation between the slavery and the indentured labor. Go on. Would you like to read this for me too?
Sure, GIRMITYALOGY can be seen as a social instrument, as he was saying, for liberation from colonial impact, which influences daily interactions within a multicultural society. Its objectives require cooperation with academic and social institutions.
Already said, go on. Well, for the coming 2-3 years, we have indicate 4 topics to study this, to research on this, and to archive and rewrite our own history. The first one was today, already presented by Professor Chan Shundi and Professor Archana Tiwari. Why is this in priority to do this? I have seen people come here and they are crying when they are cheated by the Indians here, who told them, we are going to help you, taking money, and they are doing nothing. This was for me personally a great motive to start Girmitiyalogy. The second priority is the cultural identity, understanding how the heritage and loss of cultural continuity in relation to the hybridity. You know, I am a Dutch, a Hindustani, Suriname Dutch, a hybrid. So you see, we are not Indians, but we have an Indian cultural identity. So we have to research on this area, what is going on globally, what do we have to do, and coming with suggestions. The third one is preserving languages, arts, etc., etc. You know, Suriname is one of the country we have preserved their language, Bhasa, Hindi, or Bhojpuri. But if you go to Trinidad and Tobago and other colonized countries, you will see they cannot understand their own Bhasha. It has taken away. The time of the British Raj has killed this language for these people. So we have to research on this area, looking what every country is doing, and Dennis has presented just a book, what can be a guiding to do more research on this area. Professor Chan Shundi has done in a lot of his books. We have to collect all these books and looking at what can help us to make our own global identity. The fourth one is the education, integration, and that to embedding GIRMITIYALOGY in the curricula. As you have seen, the Lucknow University is already busy with this subject, GIRMITIYALOGY. We have also Banaras Hindu University is also busy, and so GIRMITIYALOGY is not going to work alone. Next one. Next one, please.
Yes, Baba.
So you see, it is necessary to have a collaboration. Please read it for me.
So international cooperation with academic and social institutions is essential for the successful development and implementation of the products and objectives of GIRMITIYALOGY. Since its inception, informal partnerships have been established with Lucknow University and Banaras Hindu University. Collaboration with Jawaharlal Nehru University is in preparation. Cooperation with universities, international and platforms for GIRMITIA affairs must also be initiated. Promising relationships have already developed within the Indian-Caribbean community, especially via the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center, not the Indian-Caribbean Council, Baba.
Okay.
So the
Okay, thank you.
ICC,
May I explain this? You know, we have two partners to work together. One is the academic world, the universities in India and in the colonized countries. We have just started some months ago. And I'm very happy to make the progress to tell you one university is ready. We have a good connection with the ICC. Sorry that I could not write it, but excuse me. The ICC and the GLAS. GLAS is Global GIRMITIYA Lineage and Archive Center in Madhubani, where I am today here. GIRMITIYALOGY can be successful when this platform can work together with the academic world and the foundations, the platforms, just like ICC and GLAS. Next one. Okay, read that, please. Okay, go on. You can read
so for
it.
those of you who are not aware, the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center was founded and chaired by Dr. Kumar Mahaver of Trinidad and Tobago. So this is just a reminder. It is a cultural and academic organization that promotes research, education, and collaboration among Indo-Caribbean communities worldwide. It serves as an international platform connecting scholars, writers, and activists working on GIRMITIYA heritage, migration history, and issues of cultural identity, unity, and restorative justice. So when Baba brought up the whole GIRMITIYA concept and GIRMITIYALOGY as an academic discipline, I could not allow us to not be part of this. And so I have joined the board under his recommendation, and I am now entering into my PhD very shortly. Lucknow University has launched the GIRMITIYALOGY website.
You see, then we here in India, GIRMITIYALOGY, people are getting aware. They usually the Times of India has mentioned the GLAS and GIRMITIYALOGY 2 times. Go on. The next one. Yes, okay. That is Times of India. You can read that. Okay, please, would you like to read the conclusion and the intentions?
Sure. So GIRMITIYALOGY aims to strengthen its foundation through international cooperation with academic and social institutions. Since its inception, informal partnerships have been initiated, we said this before, with Lucknow University and Banaras Hindu University, and plans are also underway with Jawaharlal Nehru University. What's to come next? GIRMITIYALOGY intends to expand strategic cooperation with international platforms that address GIRMITIYA affairs. Special attention will be given to building academic and cultural bridges, again with us, the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center. These collaborations will serve as the backbone for developing shared research programs, cultural exchanges, and digital archiving projects within the global GIRMITIYA network. as Baba was saying, the Global Girmitiya Lineage Archives and Searching Center, which he refers to as GLASS. The chairman, Dr. Binod Kumar Singh, and his staff has a very important role in this globally restorative journey. And Baba, shall we have him on now?
I think it was the last one. I
Yes.
don't know if the name is Dr. Ranbir Singh Rajput. Dr. Kumar, can you see him in the? He is director of the Patna Museum, and
I will
he was
check.
very. Is he in the audience?
What's his full name?
Dr. Ranbir Singh Rajput.
Rajput.
Shalima, can you help me? Search
Yes,
and
I'm looking.
make him unmute him and give him
I did not see him enter the room. Okay, Baba, you continue and let me give him a call. Is that okay? You're muted, Baba. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
I
So
think
let me give him a
gimit-
call.
Yes, I think gimminology is a platform. It is a weapon. It is a strategy, as Dennis and Professor Archana said. Professor Chan Chunni is the first one. We came in India, and he was with me and Dr. Binod Kumar in New Delhi Archive Center with two ladies from Trinidad living in Florida and in London, and they have searching and searching and searching. No one word like gimminology, coolies of endangered labor was found in the archives, digitalized. And you know, last year of this year, the Ministry of Culture has spent a lot of money to digitalize the archives. As Chan Chunli asked, where are the archives of the Gemitiyas we are missing? So you can see that something has happened during the British Raj. And I think when they have destroyed, as we have in our last presentation we had about the if mythology can be declared recognized as crime against the humanity, when the British Raj has destroyed a part of our history, that is not good. We have to find out. We have to find out why did they done something, because we are the lineage, the descendants. We are now has been. We cannot find our lineage because of the archives has been destroyed. So what I want to ask Chandan Kumar Singh ji in this program, Chandan, are you there? I'm seeing you. Picture.
Chandan, sure.
Chandan Kumar Singh.
Chandan Kumar Singh, would you mind unmuting your mic, please? And while we wait for him to do that, unfortunately, Baba,
Yes.
Mr. Rajput's phone is ringing, but I'm not getting a response.
Oh, yes, he is not in the audience.
No, he's not answering the phone.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr.
Namaste.
Chandan Kumar Singh, we can
Chandan
hear you
Kumar.
now. Go ahead, please.
Yes, namaste to everybody. Yes, Baba, what's your question?
My question is, you are busy now with a scientific system to find the ancestral village. I don't know from where, but maybe you can tell about the land records, etc., etc. It is very important for study, research on this area, and it is more important to have an instrument to help the people find their lineage. Can you tell more about that?
Yeah, well, initially when Baba provided me his immigration pass, in which his grandfather's name was mentioned, the name of the village, the district, and the thana, that is the police station. Only these details were available. So the district was Saran. Now it is divided into three districts: Saran, Siwan, and Gopalganj in Bihar. So when we went there in Saran district, the village name was Navada, Baba's grandfather's village name in Bihar. So we found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 villages with this name, Navada, in the Saran district. So when we visited the villages, people were not remembering. It was in 1892, now it is 2025. So that process didn't work. So now I arranged land records from these villages from the government office. We have the PDF now available with us. So in this, the police station name was mentioned, that is Thana. So out of these 9 villages, 9 Navadas in Saran district, in 4 villages, we found the police station mentioned as Chhapra, that is in the immigration pass. So now another challenge came. The language written in the land records, the date mentioned was 1910 on the land records, the Bengal Settlement Act. So another challenge that came, that right now in Hindi we are using Devanagari Lipi. A Lipi is a script or writing system in Hindi. Currently we are using Devanagari script Lipi, but in the land records during the British rule, in those times, Kathi Lipi was used. That was the language, the Lipi that used to be in circulation in the government offices during British rule in the state of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. So nowadays, Kathi Lipi is not being taught anywhere in India. But there are people who have interest in the land records. So there's very few people who can read this. So the land records that we have collected for Dr. Shradhanand, we have given to the experts to read. But now it is not easily available the experts to read this Lipi. That is Kathi Lipi, that is mentioned in the land records of those times. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Baba, you're muted. Okay.
Thank you, Chandan Kumar Singh. As you see, when the land records can help us find our lineage, because the lack of information in the archive center makes us to find another way to help the people. We want to make contact with their family here and there, at least the village where their ancestors have last fertilized. This will be a great success, and we are just testing that. What I want to tell you more is Professor Chanchuni and me and Dr. Kumar, we have had a great conversation with the director of the New Delhi Archive Center, and he said, I cannot help you because we don't have. He said, go to Haridwar by the Pandits, maybe they have some records. That is not what we want to hear. The same happened too when we visit in the same team with Chanchuniji at the Patna Archive Center. And the director, Faisal, is a very, very young man. He told us, sorry, we really don't have the archives. How can we digitalize them? So, ladies and gentlemen, take this question very seriously. Very seriously. I can tell you, I am crying a lot of people are crying. 10% was successful because they have more details, a letter or the code number of the village. But 90% do not have this. We have to do this job on the umbrella of GIRMITIYALOGY, take it scientifically, and as you see, Lucknow University has started. This student also can help us when they are going to write the thesis, etc., etc., to make a system, to find a system to help us. Finally, I think we have to rewrite. We have to decolonize the archives, and we have to find what we are missing, that is in behalf of our ancestors and for our coming generation. I want to thank you all to be today on this platform, and I think Salima ma'am, I'm ready to, and all the persons are ready to answer the questions. Thank you very
Excellent.
much.
Thank you very much, Baba. So, ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead if you have a question or a comment. Please raise your electronic hands, which you will find at the base of your Zoom screen in the reactions button. And before I take our first question from Dr. Muhammad Keshavji, I just want to throw it out to all members who are here at this time. What we are hoping for are persons to join the faculty under Dr. Anshana Tiwari, and persons also who want to show an interest in becoming students of GIRMITIYALOGY, be it at the certificate, diploma, bachelor's, master's, or PhD levels. Please give us an indication by placing your name in the Zoom chat so that we'll be able to collate this information and get back to you accordingly. So please just indicate your name, and if you want to join the faculty, state that next to your name. If you want to become a student, please state your name and next to it, student. Kindly also provide us with your contact details. Akhilesh, I see you. Thank you very much. Please just also give us your contact details. Thank you.
I think
MK?
okay.
Thank you,
Go ahead,
Salima.
please.
Thank you, Kumar. What a wonderful session. I came in a little late because of our time difference. I just wanted to make one or two points. While I think that the methodology and the objectives are very noble, very clear, very focused, I don't see any reference to bringing into this whole process people from East Africa. I mean, Uganda is a classic example of what happened to the Indians and what can happen to them in the plantocracy in the years to come. I don't see one mention of one university, one student, one contact with Kenya, Uganda, Botswana, South Africa. I know Kumar and Shalima, you've got contact with South Africa. But we seem to have India and the Caribbean, a little bit of Fiji, a bit of Mauritius. But why don't we bring in the bulk of Africa as well? You know, there's been a connection between Africa and India for over 1,000 years. And not even mention anybody from there makes me wonder how much we will have to start again if we don't bring in other people who may be interested in these fields. I don't hear one name from Kenya. I don't hear one name from Uganda. Professor Mamdani, a leading global figure in this field, just wrote his book called Slow Poison about the Ugandan Indian expulsion a few weeks ago. But nobody's even mentioned his name. So I'm wondering, is that not important?
Of course, MK. Let me just correct you, please. When we ended the conference in South Africa in August, on August 5th, the conference resolution talked about GIRMITIYALOGY. This particular conference. Additionally, we have Shamin Thakur Rajbansi on the board. So South Africa is indeed in place, and we welcome you if you would like to join as well. all members here, as I said, this is one of the reasons for hosting today's program, so that those persons who are not yet aware become aware and have the opportunity to participate in whatever way you choose. Terrific.
And
Thank you. Baba, would you like to add anything?
one thing more, yes, sir. You are from South Africa. We have, I think, what is the name of the lady? What is in our forum?
Dr. Kogi Lam?
No, Salima, you know
Shameen.
her.
Shameen.
Who?
Sarita
Yes.
Budho, sir? Sarita
Shameen
Budho?
Rajvansi.
No, Chanwin is it. I think Chanwin, and she is in our group. And you can come
Yes.
too. Why not? That is today to gain the brains. And that is Professor Archana Tiwari. She is the head of the section. And she can work with you because we have to gain all brains together. You know, and we have to do. Finally, we want to become, after 2 or 3 years, an online university with accreditation globally. And there we are working now for. You can read a lot of the publications on our GIRMITIYALOGY.com. As you have seen in the logo, the GIRMITIYALOGY.com, and you can read a lot of information there. But please add all your IDs, send it to us, and we will publish this. That is one strategy to let the world know what we have been started. And I can tell you, it is not of 1 or 2 or 3%. It is for all of you. Because I has told you, on the Black Sea, a shipping is going, and our ancestors has had the same experience. You know, so that is the loss of feelings is bonding us. Why we cannot work together? Bring all the organizations in the Brain Gain group, and we have to do a lot. Thank you for your suggestion, sir.
Thank you very much, Baba. MK, we have a question for you from Krishna Padiachi. He wants clarification as to whether the Indian people from East Africa were indentured. Would you mind sharing that?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes?
Yes, there were indentured laborers who came to build the railways. They were from Punjab in 1896, when Britain wanted to build the railway from the coast in Mombasa right up to Fort Victoria in Kampala in Uganda. And I think out of about 7,000 or 8,000 people they brought as indentured laborers, a few went back and the others remained. So the answer is yes, the indentured labor was very much part of Kenya. As far as other people in East Africa were concerned, they came as passenger Indians. They came for small trade. Once Britain opened up the interior through the railway, they required barbers and butchers and shoemakers and jewelers and builders and constructors. So most of the Indians in East Africa came as petty traders, dukawalas, who started small businesses. Unlike in Natal in South Africa, where they came for the sugar plantation. In East Africa, the Indians came basically as petty traders, known famously as dukawalas. But in very short, yes, the indentured labor system worked in Kenya. And the brilliant book on this is Firoz Navroji's book about his grandfather being one of the persons who drove the locomotives.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that clarification, MK. So more studies need to be done because clearly everyone does not know how far indentureship had spread. And I'm also grateful that you're raising this resource. I'm also very grateful to Dr. Pravin Kumar from Fiji for putting a number of resources in the chat. And we have Chand as well, of course, as always. Dr. Sita, I'm seeing that you are suggesting that there will be some students that you can recommend, but we would love to have you on board as well because no one knows Guyana in the way that you do. as an academic. Thank you very much, Mr. Lenroy Thomas. Of course, your a very, very good book can also be an excellent resource for use about St. Vincent. So thank you. Let's take a question from Mr. Ken Solane. Please go ahead, unmute your mic.
Yes. Hello. I have been working with the Democratic Party, the AAPI, which is the Asian and Pacific Islander caucus. And our co-chair of the Democratic Party, her name is Shasti Conrad. And she's an Indian who was, as a baby, she was born in India, an orphan. And she was adopted, and now she's the co-chair of the Democratic Party. And one of the platforms that they're very concerned with is, in America today, history is being repressed. You know, you've heard of like repressing critical race theory. So if it's of interest to this group, I would like to see if I could link up that caucus with us, because I spoke to a few people in my local caucus, and they're very interested in this subject matter of the Indian diaspora. As you know, if you look at American news, many Indians are very prominent in politics. Mandami in New York in the mayor race. Ro Khanna is a very prominent senator, you know, in politics. On the other side, of course, our FBI guy is also an Indian. So I would just want to throw that out as maybe an idea. I could write to Shasti. I met her recently at a Diwali party that she was at. And I could write to her and see if there's an interest. And I think there would be many American students of Indian descent who would be interested in this field, particularly those who are studying history and these types of subjects. So I just wanted to throw that out. Is that something that would be of interest?
Certainly, as long as they're interested in the Gurmitiya story, Indian indentureship, certainly.
And I think they will, because you know, many have a similar story. I mean, like for example, in the turn of the century, there were many Sikhs who went to California to work, and many of the Indians who are here even today. And I didn't know this because, you know, being from St. Vincent, but as time goes on, as you link up with these Indians and Indians out of the diaspora, really, in truth, we all have a very similar story if we went out of India by whatever means, whether we went as a professional certified person or we came in as an indentured worker in the sugar plantations in St. Vincent. We have a common, it must be made into our DNA. In other words, in our DNA, we all have a common code that says we are India. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to link up with this. So I will put them on to you, and I will write to them and see if we can get a link up going.
Certainly. Thank you.
I wanted to make a
distinction, yes.
I think the Girmitiyas, they are a kind of the Indian diaspora. But you know, I was in the Bihar Museum, and I saw there a very big picture on the wall where was written Indian diaspora. And I was there. He said, okay, hello, but where is the placard in the wall with the name Girmitiyas? And beside of Indian diaspora, there was one in the wall, very big, Girmitiyas. Girmitiyas is a distinguished group of the Indian diaspora, and the Girmitiyalogy want to research only on the part of the Girmitiyas. Why? The Indian diaspora are descendants of Indians with Indian nationality, and they have their roots. They know where their ancestors and father and mother are living. That is not with the Girmitias. We are searching. The second one is we have not the dream to come back in India to stay here. However, we have now the OCI, and I have my OCI, but we don't have the Indian nationality. That is strictly we have made this distinguished paradigm, and we are not talking now about Indian diaspora. We are talking about Girmitiya communities. Girmitiya communities consist all the descendants globally. And you have Girmitiya Palwar of Girmitiya community in Fiji with their own challenges, their own desires, such as Mauritius, such as Suriname, etc., etc. That is why we have put a line when we are going to study and doing research on the Girmitiya descendants, the Girmitiya family. That's what I want to do. And
Thank you very much.
excuse me, one thing more. Someone has mentioned in the chat that you have compared the slavery and the indentured labor. It is not necessary to do that. What we have seen is that violence, as Professor Chanatewadi has mentioned, violence against the Girmitiyas has been committed. That is one. The same like the slavery. For the Girmitiyas was maybe 1 century. For the slavery was a longer time. This is a very important thing to say, that indentured laborship is not a slavery, maybe a substitute of that, but they has been abused. The violence was there, and everything can be mentioned under the word that this is crime against the humanity. And then you can say, okay, slavery is already recognized and declared as a crime against the humanity, as you have seen in our first presentation. And you can read the report of Dr. Kumar and Salima ma'am and Shakira. It's a very good thing. You can read this in our GIRMITIYALOGY.com. But we are suffering. There is a loss of feelings. You know, I don't know why till today, if you are going to ask excuses in your country, they will refuse. Why? In indentured labor, it was your own free will to sign a contract. That was not the case with the slavery. Thank you. This was I wanted to put today.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Padiachi, you're asking, would you classify recent Indian immigrants in the US as Girmitiyas? Girmitiya refers to contracts. Did they sign a contract? No. They migrated, more than likely. They are NRIs, non-resident Indians, different from us, PIOs, persons of Indian origin, which is a term no longer used, unfortunately, no longer recognized by the Ministry. The Ministry of Indian Overseas Affairs. Dr. Tiwari, confirm if that's correct. That was the name of the ministry, Ministry of Indian Overseas Affairs.
Right.
Yes?
No, that was a separate ministry for some time, but later it was merged
It's
with other ministry.
Right. Okay.
Now
Thank
it does
you.
not exist.
Right.
That.
Right. So that designation no longer exists, unfortunately, but we don't want to confuse the two. Non-resident Indians are persons who were born in India who have migrated without contracts.
See,
We are talking about
there is
contracting.
one more problem. Girmitiyas, there is the problem that they lost contact with their family. And NRIs, they have moved in modern times. They have migrated in modern times. So, I mean, if willingly they don't want to remain in contact with their family members, that is something different. Otherwise, they do know where their family is, they know their city, etc. With Girmitiyas, this is the biggest problem, that many have lost contact with their families. So we can't compare the two.
Mhm. Thank you very much for that clarification. I just want to raise something though. It is very possible that some of those NRIs who have migrated to other countries may have come from UP, Bihar, Tamil Nadu, and so on, where Gurmitias left. So we cannot discount that they may have had family members who left. We may be related to them, but don't even know. So anyone wanting to study Gurmitiyology can very well do so. But we want to make the distinction clear, according to Baba again, that our focus is on Gurmits, those who signed the contracts and who would have come to the various countries over about 26 countries. Thank you. Uncle Sham, let's hear from you, please. Uncle Sham, please unmute.
Okay, I think I'm free now. Yeah.
Yes. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I have a little bit of the cold, so I'll try to get through. A few things. NRI, you brought up a very good point there, but NRIs also came during the period of indentureship. Many of the ships would have lists of passengers who came, who were not contracted in that way. So and many of them have that feeling of wanting to connect. So that's another thing too. And those would have come in the 1880s. We have lists of them from 1880 to 1870 to 1917. Or many of those ships, I won't say all, but a good bit of those ships had quite a few coming. So NRIs are very important. I noticed that the disciplines that were mentioned, and I'm going to be very, how would I say this? Genealogy is not mentioned at all. I know family history is not mentioned either, but family history and genealogy are not the same. Genealogy is more detective kind of work, which we have to look at. For example, some of the things that were mentioned, like how you try to find your family in India. Well, you have to go to what is called bridging documents, because somebody quite rightly mentioned that the villagers don't remember you, because you left 100 and more years ago. So you have to go to the documentation of lands, was mentioned, good, but nothing was mentioned about the death certificates or the voters lists. These are important documents that are helpful for us. And some families themselves have family trees in the villages that we've been to. So it's possible to work that out as well. I am going to suggest to this audience then, especially the people who are starting this at the university level, I think that one of the first things you want to do is to look at memories, especially to connect the families, memories of disappearance and departure. Because we have found in many families that when we were able to connect, that people said their great-grandfather's brother went away and we don't know where he went. Chances are that he went to your territory, to your colony, as the case might be. Now, another thing too is that I'm surprised that nobody mentioned this facet of the Lucknow archives, especially because I have been able to find, through my helpers in India, we've been able to find people going to Trinidad, because we are missing documents between 1907 and 1909. We found about 100 of those people of the 2,000 that we are looking for. It's a small amount, but it means that if it's there, others have to be there as well. And they go right down to the ship level. The other thing is that I have never seen so far, and correct me if you all have seen this, I have never seen emigration passes duplicated in any other foreign archives. I have never seen the Trinidad immigration passes, which of course was called immigration passes from 1887. Before that, they were immigration certificates. And before 1858 and before, there was no mention of the village or the district even from which they came. So all of these things we need to look at in our study of grammatology. I would suggest that we collect the ship lists. We look at the databases that are being prepared. Those are very important because people who write about databases will tell us that we could connect databases together. We don't have to be separate with Suriname and with Guyana and with Mauritius and so on. We can connect these databases together, and so we will find you're missing documents. You'll be surprised to know that we can find missing documents in other diaspora countries beside ours, because many people went one place and then went back to India and then came to another place. I've seen that over and over in the documents. Okay, I tend to talk too much, so I'll stop there for now. There are many other things I could say, but I'd like to stop there for now.
Yeah, but thank you. But Uncle Sham,
Go ahead.
are you prepared to join and write the course outline for genealogy?
Of course.
Excellent.
Anytime they want me, yeah. I didn't
Excellent.
qualified enough, but I'm going to try. Mhm.
Excellent. Thank you. So, Baba, we will add him.
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Pravin Kumar. Go ahead, please. You're still muted.
I'm unmuted
Okay.
now. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So I was listening to the other speaker regarding Girmitias who went to East Africa. And I think at that time they had not compartmentalized Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya as separate countries. So they were Girmitias taken, but like I'm from Fiji, I haven't done much research regarding that particular area. But I've met a couple of Indians of my age whose great grandparents went to Zimbabwe and Malawi. And I don't know whether some of the Girmitias who were taken to South Africa were then taken to plantations at that time, Rhodesia and Malawi. And that's something to probably discuss in the future. And regarding the NRIs, I know in Fiji there were Punjabis and Gujaratis who did not go as indentured laborers. They actually went to somewhere in India. They read that there was opportunities in Fiji, so they did go. And that was the case of my great grandfather on my maternal side, my mother's Aja. He went as a trader because he was a tailor and dealt with garment. But he also had an immigration pass because that's how the British kept a record that you were departing Calcutta to go to Fiji. And the last speaker, I think, said that some Girmitias went to, say, South Africa first and then went to Fiji. And I know about 4 or 5 families who's, I have actually met the ladies way back in 1979 and 1980. And they went and did their 5 years of indenture in South Africa. They went to their village in Uttar Pradesh. The panchayat told them, no, you will not be accepted here. So those ladies then took a train to Calcutta and then they came to Fiji. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say today. Thank you very much.
Right, but Dr. Kumar, you have a wealth of knowledge, and I know you've been doing a lot of work there on Fiji. Will you be joining us?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Akhilesh, go ahead, please. Akhilesh, you need to unmute your mic.
Thank you
Yes.
very much. Namaste, everyone. My name is Pandit Akhilesh Dubey. I currently live in America, Guyana born, have been basically raised in America since 1979. For 2 years, I lived in India, studied in ashram, and I
Hello.
spent, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello. I'll call you back now.
Okay,
Go
someone
ahead,
is on.
please.
All right. So for about 2 years, I lived in India, and out of that 2 years, I spent about 3 to 4 months doing lineage research or trying to do lineage research. And what really kind of perplexed me is the lack of knowledge of the diaspora on the part of the Indian people. I think the Indian government failed in doing its job by letting their people know that there's Indians around the world as a result of the British colonial period, the diaspora. That was not known to the common people. So my search basically ended up going to colleges and speaking to professors, and that's where I learned a lot more about the immigration. Oddly enough, I spent a couple weeks, actually I spent a month in Bihar in a village, and people knew there about the Indians in Trinidad and Guyana and Suriname because of cricket. But the common Indian didn't know. but they knew because they watched so much cricket. They knew Indians were in different parts of the world. So it really kind of confused me, and it made me a little bit angry to know that at a certain point, it's as if we have been kind of washed away, on the part of the Indian government. They're gone. They've been gone for a century. They don't really kind of count. So I was a bit aggravated on that part. I'm not sure how other people feel about that. Any thoughts on that?
Very interesting.
Baba.
Very interesting. I think we are busy here to make a concept going to the Minister of Culture, because it is regarding it is question for the Ministry of Culture and etc., to let them know what is really happening with the descendants of the Girmitiyas. And as the Dubé Achilles is telling us, it's very true. You cannot enter the digitalized archives because they are not there. They aren't there. So what we have to do now is to make I don't know, a request of something like that we are preparing here in class, because after some days I'm going to leave to go to the government. Because when we hear Prime Minister Modi is going to the colonized country and he is telling about, and thanks to him, that this is awakened, this subject, because till today it was slept, keeping down, that we have some support of the government. Till today, everything is happening here voluntary. Pay everything from your own pocket. How long can we do this? So we have to write from this platform a letter to tell the Minister of Foreign Affairs or any other authority of the Modi Sarkar, tell him what has to be done really. That is what I want to invite you to think about this. And stay permanently in this forum. That is one of our mission, to do it together.
Thank you very much, Baba. I'm not seeing any further raised hands, and I think all the comments and the questions that might have been raised in the chat, I believe we've addressed all. It is already 5:09 here, and I want to let you all know that we will be keeping track of every comment, every question, and those of you all who volunteered on the chat, we will be taking note of it and we will be contacting you as long as you've placed your contact information there as well. As we bring today's program to a close, I just want to reiterate, GIRMITIYALOGY is the scholarly, interdisciplinary study of the descendants of Indian indentured laborers known as Girmitiyas. This field of study uses various disciplines, such as archival studies, oral history, and sociology, to decolonize narratives and explore the global histories, cultures, and identities of these communities, according to the GIRMITIYALOGY website. It aims to provide a more complete and respectful understanding of our heritage, which was fragmented by colonial displacement. GIRMITIYALOGY focuses on the study of the history, culture, and identity of the descendants of Indian indentured laborers. Its methodology combines archival studies, oral history, digital humanities, sociology, and cultural anthropology. Its goal, its goal to decolonize existing historical narratives. Its goal is to decolonize existing historical narratives, restore dignity, and provide continuity to communities historically disrupted by indentureship. The GIRMITIYALOGY website provides resources such as videos, interactive timelines, and archives for educators, researchers, and the public. This field is being developed. It is not yet developed. It is being developed into academic programs with platforms like the Mondial Online Grammatology University, helping to digitize documents and promote the history and heritage of the Gramitiya diaspora. And we welcome all of you to join in this particular very, very important venture.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have
for
one
being
comment,
here.
one quick comment. Just yesterday, I saw a news article from Trinidad where this discipline of Ramlela is now part of the academic curriculum at the University of Trinidad and Tobago. Why, if they can achieve that, why not Girmitology? Why isn't Girmitology part of the academic curriculum at one of the major universities? Funded. Why?
Dennis, that is just a one-time event. It's not a course. It's just token treatment to everything Indian.
But
Thank
it is
you.
a thing to think about.
Yeah.
It is a thing to think about and be part of this GIRMITIYALOGY.
Thank
Okay.
you all. I'll turn you all over now to Shakira.
Thank you, Shalama. This is such an important venture. So we want to thank everyone for taking the time to attend and to participate. And as we've said earlier, this public meeting is being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center. And you can feel free to contact the ICC to publish your books. And remember that we are kindly asking for your suggestions. And if you give a donation, your name will be placed on our poster and all promotional materials. And you can contact Dr. Mahabir for details. Our topic next Sunday will be diabetes in the Indian diaspora. So thank you to our planning team led by Dr. Kumar Mahabir and Shalama Mohammed, our IT consultants, Daryl Gransam and Navin Mangal, and Daryl again for designing the poster. So please visit, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to see all our past recordings. I am Shakira Mohammed of Trinidad and Tobago saying goodbye. May God bless you all.